All right, here we go. All right. Good evening and welcome to the Rockridge School Board Candidate Forum, hosted by the National Honor Society. My name is Brennan Muich and I am a senior at Eveleth-Gilbert High School. I am the Director of Communications for our National Honor Society chapter.
And I'm Jolie Saki. I'm a senior and I attend Virginia High School. And I'm the president of the Virginia chapter of National Honor Society.
Tonight, we hope to provide voters with information they can use to make an informed decision for the upcoming school board election.
Our candidates were provided 7 questions to prepare for ahead of time. They will have a minute and a half to answer each question. If there is time remaining, we will add some questions generated from the audience.
If you have a question you would like to ask, please write it out on an index card and then hold your card up in the air. One of the NHS students will collect it. Then you can do this at any time throughout the forum.
We'd like to remind everyone that this is a forum and not a debate, so there will not be any back and forth discussion between candidates. We also ask that the audience remain quiet throughout the evening and not disrupt a candidate's speaking time.
And just a reminder to our candidates, you will be informed when your time is over. At that time, please wrap up your idea or finish your sentence. Candidates will be queued when it is their turn to speak.
We have arranged the candidates based on the district they are running in. The first 4 candidates, Polly Sorkin, Matt Schoberg, John Yuhan, and Mike Perisu, are vying for 2 seats in District 1, the former Eveleth-Gilbert District. The next 4 candidates, Murray Anderson, Nicole Colbert-Dahl, Sean Haney, and Lisa Westby, are vying for 2 seats in District 2, the former Virginia District.
Let's begin by getting to know each candidate. Please explain why you are running for school board and what your connection is to the Rockridge schools or communities. Polly Sorkin will speak first.
Fine, thank you for putting this forum on. As a lifelong resident of the Iron Range living in Eveleth and having had my own children and numerous nieces and nephews attend our schools, I have a good understanding of our education system and our communities and their needs. I've been involved as a school board member in 2 consolidations, one between Eveleth and Gilbert, and now the Rockridge between Virginia and the Eveleth-Gilbert school districts, and one pairing and sharing scenario with the former Gilbert school district. The reason I'm running for the school board, I have 20 years of experience as a school board member in a span of over 40 years. I've seen and understand the many changes that have occurred in education, and that gives me the deep insight into where education is today. In my capacities as a school board member, I've been involved in all facets of running a school district, and I think I bring valuable knowledge, experience, and insight to the table. Thank you.
All right, Matt Schoberg.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank the NHS and their advisor, Ms. Glennon, for hosting this forum and for all of you to attending and tuning in. I do wish, however, it was held a bit earlier for 2 reasons. Number 1, so we could see the physical progress of our project. And number 2, we are rapidly approaching my wife Kathy's bedtime. As you know, I'm Matt, also known as Chipper Schoberg. I was brought up in a family of public school educators where my father taught and coached in the former Aurora White Lakes District for 34 years. Our 3 children all received an excellent education from the former Eveleth-Gilbert District. Madeline and John are licensed teachers. Joe is a senior civil engineering student at UMD. I have devoted my career to public service, trying to make the Iron Range a better place. Currently serving as the Director of Development at the IRRB, where I'm responsible for public and private financing programs. I was elected to the Eveleth-Gilbert School Board in 2018. When I decided to run, our district faced a great deal of challenges. Enrollment had dropped 20% over previous 6 years. We were losing the open enrollment battle. Distance learning was emerging. Districts all around were opening new facilities while we were operating in 100-year-old buildings, though they were serviceable and meticulously maintained. At the same time, I saw a great deal of opportunity with our neighbors and now partners across the bridge. An exciting new career academic model that I believe will benefit all, and the prospect of getting new state-of-the-art facilities at the lowest possible cost for our local taxpayers. I ran on a platform that would be better together and believe that more than ever tonight. I've worked very hard to that end and would like to continue to serve you to help finish and implement this very exciting endeavor that will benefit generations of our young people.
John Yuhan.
Thanks for hosting this tonight. Great event to know all the candidates. I'm born and raised in Eveleth-Gilbert, or Eveleth. Been here my whole life. Graduated in 1993. My wife and I live here. We've got 2 boys in the district. We've got deep roots. My kids are 5th generation Eveleth kids. Why I'm running, I'm fully invested in this project. Felt very strongly about merging the two districts together. I want to finish this strong. I want to do what we said we were going to do, and that's why I'm running.
Mike Parasu.
Thanks for putting this on, and we have a great turnout. Thanks everybody for showing up. I grew up and graduated from Virginia actually many years ago, back in 2005. I'm currently a Gilbert resident. I have a son who is going to the Rockridge School. He's in 5th grade right now. The biggest thing that started me to drive was just, I kind of started to get involved in the school board last year, and there wasn't much of a public voice allowed, or it was allowed, but it didn't seem like it was being heard or making a difference on anything that was happening. I wanted to run because I got tired of complaining about it and wanted to try and see if there's anything I can do to try and change that. The biggest thing is I just want to get a public input and more public participation in the board, in the committees, in things that are going on, because education needs to be a collaboration between the schools, the communities, and the children.
Murray Anderson.
I'd like to thank the students and Ms. Clennon for putting on this forum again. My connection with Rockridge Public Schools is pretty simple. I'm the father of a Virginia graduate. I'm also a coach, a substitute teacher, and a former board member. But most importantly, I'm the grandfather of a current and a future Wolverine. In 2015, I retired with 36 years of teaching experience. While working as a sub-teacher in Virginia, I saw the MSBA handout regarding the upcoming elections, and it stated on its front, it's all about the students. I was hooked. So I threw my hat in the ring and made it on the board. Public education has been my life's passion. As an instructor, coach, and board member, I see education as a means to change the lives of students, families, and our communities. Since our consolidation, we have been able to increase the number of opportunities for our children to experience. Our activities and athletics have come together. Our new buildings are being built. And let's not forget that our buildings are staffed with some of the best educators, staff, and administrators in the state. I feel that our school board needs to do whatever is possible to further our focus on the future of our students and our communities.
Nicole Culbert-Bell.
Thank you for putting this on. I think it's so awesome, and I'm sorry I missed it last year, but I think it's a cool thing. I was born and raised in Virginia. I was graduated in 1992, which is a really long time ago. And I always wanted to get away to the big city. I didn't want to be here, you know. But once we realized to start raising our kids, we realized we wanted a better life for them, and that just felt like we needed to come back here. And one of the biggest factors was we knew that the school systems were excellent. We have an excellent reputation in the state, and we just thought our kids would have more opportunity up here. You know, one of the reasons I'm running is originally actually, you know, was wanting to just kind of give back to the community, not sure where I fit in. It was just kind of the right opportunity. I always had parents who were really community centered and always taught us that it was good to give back to our community. And so that was one of the reasons. And I just saw that the board, it didn't seem like there was a lot of people on it that had kids in school. And I have a 3rd grader, a 10th grader, and my son just graduated last year. And so I just thought I have a real vested interest. Strong community person. I just want the best for our schools, and I was really excited too with the new academy and everything, and I just wanted to be a part of it. It was so exciting, and I thought I could be a positive impact and help that transition. And I'm super excited for the academy to open, and can't wait till the kids see there and start learning and having all the opportunities that they deserve. So thank you.
Sean Haney.
Thank you for putting on this forum and asking quality questions. I'm Sean Haney. I live in Pike Township, 3 dirt roads off the highway, with my wife Cassandra, my 4 kids, Cephas in pre-K, Saphira in 2nd, Kepra in 7th, and Corbett in 8th. We're blessed to be building a home there, and so between kids and a house, I'm not going anywhere. I am very invested in the success of the academies. My oldest will be in the first flight of students to spend all 4 years there, and I think that their success is tremendously important. I am a proud union member. I am in ASME, and I work for the county appraising real estate. I think it's important to support unions that play such a critical role in our local economy. And that's part of why you'll find a union bug on every one of my signs, because I do think that's important. I think that education has the potential, not a given, but the potential to be an equalizer, to bring the opportunity for success to anyone who's willing to apply themselves, regardless of what their means are at home. And I think that it is tremendously important, not just to my children, but to all of us, to our community, to our society, to make sure that as many kids as possible have that opportunity to succeed. And I am here to do my part to try to support those that are already engaged in that work and do all that we can to live up to our full potential. Thank you.
Lisa Westby.
Hi, I'm Lisa Westby, and thank you for being here tonight. Again, we're all happy to be able to voice our thoughts, and thank you for doing this. My investment in the communities has been over 40 years, 4 generations that have gone to the Virginia schools. I raised 3 daughters that had a great education, and they were able to get good jobs from that education. They learned lots of skills going away. And I would like to continue that tradition of opportunity for this area, that other kids on the Iron Range can go and seek out jobs wherever they deem fit. And if they just put themselves out there and work hard to be able to do it. And that's pretty much my thoughts on that.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on to the next question. The school board is tasked with making decisions about key items throughout the school year. One way to approach that work is through committees who can look more deeply into a topic or issue. If you are elected to the school board, what committees would you like to be a part of and why? And we will start with Matt.
Well, first, I believe our committee structure needs some work, though the committees do serve a very worthwhile purpose. The board chair appoints the committees. One of the few issues I've had with my friends and colleagues from across the former Virginia district is that not one vote has come from one of them to appoint a former member of the Eveleth-Gilbert district as board chair. And it's like 0 for 19 by my count. Not that, I mean, it could be coincidence, but come to your own conclusion with that. Currently, I serve on the activities committee and on the budget committee. I'm the liaison to the city of Eveleth. I'm also the Minnesota State High School League rep. I requested to be on the building and grounds committee, but was not appointed. I'm also interested in the curriculum advisory committee, as well as the 2 committees that I currently serve on.
John?
Currently, I serve on the athletic and activities committee. I think that's a great fit for me. I enjoy sports. I've sat in several coach interviews as we bring the programs together. I've helped with the athletic fields as we're getting the new ones ready, help move those along as we're tying up loose ends. I have a good working relationship with the ADs. Also, I'm on the buildings and grounds committee, which I enjoy. I help out, I think with the surplus buildings, there's going to be a good deal of work there to see what we're going to do with our vacated buildings once we move into the new academy. We've got a good relationship with Mike Hoag, our Buildings and Grounds Director. I've known him all my life. And also the Budget and Finance Committee, I'm on that as well. I think that's a good fit. I've got about 7 years of banking experience. I'm very good with numbers that way. So those committees I feel like I fit well on.
Mike?
If elected, I guess number one is I'd like to be in the athletic committee. I like to be involved with that. When I was in Virginia, I played football, I played hockey. I even for a little bit tried out basketball for a little bit, but I really like sports. I have a son who's playing hockey. One thing was this year when we signed up for hockey, we noticed there was quite a drastic price increase just to join the sport. And I guess a concern that I had with that was the families who would have trouble just to pay to get their kids in the sport. And we weren't given any information on any assistance or help we could get if we did have trouble. And I would like to see if there's anything I could do to help involve more kids who possibly are parents that can't afford some of those upfront costs for joining some of these sports. Another committee I would be interested in is I'd be interested to be a part of the curriculum committee. My whole life I've been an information hog. I like to find out information on everything and anything that I can. When I graduated from high school, after I went to college, my education didn't stop there. I'm constantly buying books on different topics and constantly reading and researching things. And so I feel like that would be a good fit for me and my personality style. And that's all I got.
I view committee work as very important. It's a process that facilitates the mission for our school board. The reports and recommendations from our committees are brought back to the whole board for discussion, approval, and many times rejection. All committee meetings are public. People know that. Committees that I'd like to be on: curriculum and staff development. I've written curriculum. I've evaluated curriculum. I believe that would be an asset. Labor management, meet and confer. I'm a past president and negotiator for Education Minnesota, local leadership so I have some in both. Community ed, I've been involved with that committee in the past. Plus I was an instructor for community ed programs and a participant. Still have the chair I made. I'd like to be on the athletic and activities committee. I'm a former choir member and a soloist, believe it or not. I have 40 years plus of coaching, 25 years as a registered Minnesota State High School League official, 3 years on the Section 7A Region Committee, plus I have my master's in athletic administration. The big one is the policy committee. I'd like to be on that one. Okay.
Nicole?
Well, first, Matt, if I'm elected, we will have an Eveleth chair. I promise that. It's a promise I make.
Good luck the best person for chair, but if we had one.
Well, I'm sure all of them will be the best. So whoever wants, yeah. But anyway, I didn't know that. I'm like, what committees am I on? Because we don't meet that often, but I'm on the budget committee, I'm on the policy committee, and curriculum. We haven't met yet, but we're going to meet next week if anyone wants to come because it is public. I guess which ones I want to be on. Honestly, I'd like to be on all of them because it sounds fun and interesting, and I really like to get in and learn. You know, this is my first year on the school board, and it's definitely been a learning curve for me. There's so many moving parts to the school, the process, the district. It's just kind of overwhelming. And actually being on committees does help kind of dive deep and gives you a better idea of what is going on. I wanted to have a better understanding of the budget, so I like being on the budget committee. Finding out where the monies are being allocated to is really interesting. I would also like to still be on the curriculum. Like I said, we're meeting for the first time next week on Tuesday. And I'm really excited for that because our new curriculum will be pretty exciting. We have to look at a lot of new things and a lot of new, we're going to be changing the way that things are being taught and what's being taught. Thank you.
John?
I'm going to start by admitting this is one of the questions that made me a better candidate, because when I first looked at it, I was like, I don't know. And to that point, I think it's important to acknowledge that we don't always have all the answers. Sometimes we don't, and it's more important to acknowledge that we don't and then move forward from there. Now, from there, I took the time to look into it. The Budget and Finance Committee, because for better or for worse, education and what we can do with it is closely tied to money. And it's important to make sure we balance fiscal responsibility and good funding of our programs. Policy, it's not glorious, it's not fun, but it potentially impacts a lot of people. The labor management meet and confer, because I think it's important to make sure that we've got a good contract that's fair to all people involved. And the curriculum advisory staff development, because especially as we transition into the academies, I think that our curriculum development is critically important to how our school is going to carry forward. Thank you.
Lisa?
I would like to be on the Budget and Finance Committee and to hear and see clear-cut answers of where the taxpayers' money is going, and to put a hold on anything that we can't afford to be responsible fiscally for this school district. And Policy Committee, I would like to be involved with that policy. I can see that it sets the tone for the school's environment. And my desire would be to have a positive effect in the community by hearing all the voices in the community. And I would like to see policies in place to ensure that happening. The district curriculum advisory and staff development, I would like to see or be a part of that curriculum and discussion and decisions to ensure the best education for our students. And also teacher negotiations to hear and discuss the requests and responsibilities of our Rockridge teachers and balancing our finances for those discussions.
Ollie?
Well, as many of you know, I've been in committee jail for most of the past 2 years. And if I'm reelected, I would expect those committee assignments to be reinstated for me. And that's if the same committee structure is carried forward. But that being said, instead of a few board members being on a committee, I'd propose that all committees be full board committees of the whole, where all board members would have the opportunity to hear and participate in all the deliberations of various topics that now just go into small committees. That way, any board member who has time and the interest could choose to be or not to be involved in the topics of discussion. Committees of the whole would give all board members the opportunity to receive detailed information and give their input. Not too long ago, a previous Eveleth-Gilbert School Board did have committees of the whole, and so it's not unheard of. Or alternately, instead of committees of the whole, I would propose that full board working sessions be held on topics that have typically gone into small committees. I don't believe that a small number of board members should be receiving more information or deliberating or making decisions outside of full board authority.
Excuse me, can I just make one suggestion as far as the timing goes? If you could, when we're like 15 seconds from up with our time. So
I was thinking the same thing.
Thank you.
All right.
I tend to ramble.
With so many people invested in the education of students, there are bound to be many opinions. How would you address differences of opinion between board members or between board, administration, and teachers? John?
Well, I think the best way to handle differences is with respect. We've had trouble in the past with this, and I think with respect, we're all adults, we're all professionals. We could maybe listen twice as much as we talk and find a compromise. And then we support the board after decisions have been made. Move on and carry on with our business.
Mike?
So this question actually fits really naturally for me because my entire family on both sides, my mother's and my father's side, all have very strong political opinions, and they're all over the political board. We as a family have always gotten along, even though we may argue about politics sometimes, but we never have some of the stuff you see where people are ending friendships or breaking up families because they have a difference of opinion. And I think where the lesson that I've learned from my family alone is a lot of it comes from empathy for an opposing point of view. You need to understand why somebody feels the way they do. And typically somebody holds an opinion different than yours. It doesn't mean they're stupid. It doesn't mean they're ignorant. There's got to be a reason for it. And a lot of times if you read into it, you find it is. You may not agree with it all the time, but at least if you understand it, you can respect it and have a better conversation that way. The most important part of it is it has to go both ways. If you care and respect someone's point of view to understand why they feel the way they do, but they don't go the extra mile to understand why you feel the way you do, you're going to have an impasse where it won't happen. So it takes participation from all sides, but overall, I would say empathy is the biggest thing to get you to treat each other with respect.
All board members are individuals raised and educated differently. We all have different life experiences, goals, employment, and personal lives. And again, we go back to, we have to respect those differences. And as a board member, we must come together as a team with a goal. What is best for our students? There are state guidelines and ethics that school boards are formed under, and we must individually conform to these. We cannot be here for personal gain, single issues, grandstanding at board operation expense, and we must always realize that no board member is more important than another. We must develop trust and acceptance of our fellow board members and respect their ideas, beliefs, and expertise. Together with this respect and trust, our team can focus, develop a vision, and go and get what's best for our students, staff, and communities.
Nicole?
Really, for me, it's all about having respect. I think what's great about the board is, like, Murray said, you have a lot of different people coming together, and I believe everybody has a right to be heard. And that's so important, and to have productive discourse. How you do that is you listen to others, you respect others when they're speaking, and you don't talk over them. I've worked many years in fields that center around customer service and negotiation. The biggest problem is people not feeling heard too, or respected. I believe in really probably every avenue, and especially in this avenue, communication is absolutely the key. And I think a lot of problems and, misunderstandings can be overcome with communication.
Sean?
I think it's important to take the time not just to hear one another, but to actually understand one another. I'm willing to give everyone here the benefit of the doubt that we come from a certain common base of values. Like, I come to this table and interact with the public because I want to invest in not just my children, but in our children, because I fundamentally believe that we do all do better when we all do better. And I think that it's important to understand what the other person is trying to say, because somehow they may have come to a different place from a similar set of values and a different perspective. And I think it's important to take the time to see the value in whatever that opinion is, no matter how much we might disagree with it. Now, I have some experience in community organizing, most of it with a faith-based organizing group called the Foundation that brings people together around common values, regardless of their faith, regardless of their politics. I think it would be great if we could do that at the school board level and focus on what our common values are. And that we are here for the kids until proven otherwise. I think that along with that, one of the most important lessons I learned in community organizing is there's no permanent friends or enemies in the public arena, and we need to find what it is that we agree on and try to work on those things to move forward.
Lisa?
Respect is the word that comes to mind when it comes to the meetings, whether it be the people in the audience that they want to be heard and not shut down if they have a thought that needs to be get out, that they should be heard. And following that would be communication respectfully amongst the board members and the community members out in the audience. whether it's getting on the agenda or coming in as a visitor to talk, that everything would be transparent and that would squelch a lot of feelings of not being heard. And I do believe the public feels that they have not been heard.
Polly?
Well, I think differences of opinion should never become bones of contention, causing friction and disrespectful behavior among individuals or groups. Differences of opinion are healthy, and any open-minded person should welcome hearty discussions, and even in debates on issues. Adults are, or should be, good role models for students and children. Boards, administrators, and teachers, support staff, and the communities should all be on the same team, working toward the best education possible for our students. That's a given. But differences of opinion are normal, and they need to be productively channeled into collectively deciding the educational best for our children. Differences of opinion throw a mixture of ideas into a big pot for consideration, not to be feared or ridiculed, but to be gleaned from and making informed decisions from many options. But sadly, our society has become so adversarial and even hostile in the arena of ideas and opinions, where tolerance of opinions different from one's own is touted, but it's not practiced. And it seems only to be tolerated when they align with one's own opinion. So if we look around us, it's rampant in society. When people or groups disagree, they resort to name-calling, disrespectful behavior, or even violence. The world has even stooped to some self-appointing themselves as opinion police or fact-checkers, so-called, and they are no more than self-appointed censors for First Amendment free speech rights. Thank you.
This is a tough one to answer last. I agree with everything that everyone here said, and look, I got some evidence that that's what I was going to say too. But it's all about communication and respect. Leadership is about understanding divergent points of view and working towards a common objective. It's not easy. In fact, no one is typically 100% satisfied once there is some conflict, and conflict isn't a bad thing as long as it's dealt with properly. But it is important, it's very important, that once a decision is made, once the board has spoken as a whole, that we do support those decisions that the board made.
Great, thank you. We're going to move on to the next question. One of the purposes of public education is to prepare students to be productive citizens. What do you think the school district should do better to prepare students in that capacity? We'll start with Mike.
So I think for me, number one in this is individualism. You make sure that kids understand that no two people are the same. You can't take people, you can't put them into groups, you can't box them up. Everybody has strengths, everybody has weaknesses. Sometimes you can find where your strengths complement another's weaknesses, their strengths complement your weaknesses. So you got to teach kids that you don't have to fit in a box, you don't have to be part of a group, you can be just who you are and play to your own strengths. Number two, value of hard work. Hard work, whether it's academic, hard work, whether it's in the union, building buildings, or a steel worker, whatever it is you're doing, work hard and be proud of the work you do. Number three is something I even complained about when I was in school and got out, and that was taxes, loans, and investing. They need to understand how taxes work, how they're paid. That, unfortunately, it seems like kids get out and they're just not prepared for that. I know I wasn't. How loans and interest work, we had like a brief showing on it, but when I first signed my first loan, I was surprised how much it was for me to pay it off. Investing is a huge one. When it comes to investing, there's very different avenues you can go to and a lot of different routes you can take to grow your money instead of sitting in an account. And last, one of the more important ones that I think many adults today fail at is we need to really drive a culture that's respecting of other people's opinions and not hostile to people that disagree with them.
Bree?
Well, we all realize that education's enhanced by a positive student-teacher relationship and a safe environment. Our students will want to come to school and class if they're accepted, feel safe, and liked by their instructors. I believe our educators within our district already provide this type of climate in their classrooms. We must provide education that also covers the past, where we've been, the present, what we're doing now, and the future, where can we go? Our board must provide our instructors with all the information and materials needed to help our students develop the skills of thinking on their own, goal setting, and decision making. At the high school level, our students will experience so much more in the academy style than what we provide now. Students learn by doing, whether it be quadratic equations, dissections, culinary, or carpentry. Providing our students with as many opportunities as possible to explore their interests, they will better serve our communities.
I really believe that, incorporate, and I know we do some of this, but incorporate some of the basics and fundamentals to prepare students for future employment and necessary life skills, such as business units, agricultural units, mechanical, plumbing units, personal finance units. I was talking to my dad just today, and he didn't do very well in school, and I probably shouldn't say that, but he told me that when he graduated Virginia High School, he actually knew how to do accounting, and he started working right away, and he was able to do the accounting books for a family business. I don't think most kids can do that right now, and I think that's an awesome fundamental skill. And I don't know which one said, but just writing out checkbooks, and just basic things that aren't really thought of. They're kind of glossed over. We don't think about it anymore, but they're very important. So that's one way they can be productive citizens, and we can help that by teaching them these life skills. Also, I love what you guys are doing as far as, I think productive citizens is also citizens who give back and who get involved. And I love seeing you guys do this forum. I remember the Roosevelt, really quick, they used to shovel and rake for their neighbors, and I thought that was amazing too.
John?
I love this question. This question is why I'm here. It's why I'm running for school board, because I believe strongly in a well-rounded education. I think it'd be great if ballerinas could change their oil and welders could bake. And everybody needs to come out of school with the ability to ask hard questions, to problem solve, to critically think, not just to know how laws are made, but to know how they're changed. Because sometimes the law isn't what it should be. And to actively engage in society. And yes, we certainly need to prepare you for a job. You need to know how to add and do grocery store math and balance a checkbook. But more than that, I want you to know how to organize. I want you to know how to change something that you don't like in civil society, and how to do it by talking to each other, how to make a difference in people's lives. And that's how I think we can do it better.
I think that public education prepares children to be good citizens by teaching them what citizenship means, and that would be through history and being able to read the history books, and to those basic subjects of math and spelling and knowing all of that for that foundation. I agree that the checkbook and those other skills too, but to focus on the fundamental learning of all what makes up in being a citizen, and that would include history, right? And the more that they learn in school, the more that they can go out, and that will facilitate them to get good jobs and get homes and raise kids and be good in their community, be able to be good in their community, because now they've been insulated with an education. So.
I believe that the I believe that the term productive citizen has a particular context and that relates to a person's benefit to the economy. And the term human capital is used synonymously with that term, productive citizen, and both refer to the economic value of people. But instead of using that term, productive citizen, I'd rather pose that one of the main purposes of education is to help students become good citizens, period. Aristotle talked about his philosophy was what it means to be a good man, a good person, good woman too, and an upright citizen. Teddy Roosevelt felt that a good citizen was one who pulls his own weight and respects the rights of others. Some other great historic resources of what I think it means to be a good citizen include George Washington wrote Rules of Civility and Decent Behavior. He had 110 of those rules. Ben Franklin had 13 life virtues that he composed. If these resources aren't already, I think they would be good additions to our curriculum here at Rockridge.
First, I certainly agree that a well-rounded education that teaches basic life skills to our students is very important. I do think the most important thing that we can do as they go through the continuum from kindergarten through 12th grade is to prepare our students for opportunities. A career, a job is the path to a productive life. I'm lucky enough in my day job to be talking to businesses, manufacturing, healthcare, education every day. And I believe our Career Academy model will uniquely prepare our students for the jobs of today and, more importantly, the jobs of tomorrow. We do have some opportunities in that right now there is a universal labor shortage, and I think we stand in a good spot to take advantage of that because and I do take a great deal of pride in speaking with businesses about what we have going here, and even more pride in bringing businesses that I'm working with to see what we're doing.
John?
Well, again, I agree with a lot of what was said here today. Our academy model, it will hopefully get our students ready for the workforce faster with rising college tuition costs, student loan debt. There are programs that hopefully can get our students into the workforce faster so they aren't saddled with a bunch of loan debt. Preaching independence, getting our students ready for living on their own, learning how to pay bills, learning how to culinary schools, all kinds of skills that they're going to need to be successful. Also, I think teaching them the benefit of volunteering within the community, how to enrich the community is also a big benefit as well.
All right. Knowing our strengths and weaknesses is important for both continued success and growth. So, tell us one thing you think our school district is doing well, and one thing you would like to see improved. Murray?
Okay. Well, as I looked at that, I came up with a list of things that I thought that we're doing well, and some of the things that we've invested upon the REACH and AVID learning programs. We've hired more counselors for student mental health, the EFC and Head Start expansion. Some of the things that we need to improve upon, we just need our district, but not only the district, but the board. I think we need to recognize that the pressures that our teachers, not just because of COVID and school closures and everything else, but they're under pressure all the time from our public and our students and our board. And the teachers and staff and administrators need to have a pat in the back once in a while. I think we need to address something that I've talked with the counselors a lot of, at least in Virginia, that there are hunger issues in our buildings. And I think that's something that we can help alleviate. There's some things that we can do about that. Overall, I think board members need to be seen in the buildings more often. An open ear, a kind word, a pat in the back really makes a difference to our people.
All right, Nicole?
Okay, well, I didn't do many positives. I wish I did now. But I think the biggest thing, I think we've been able to merge the two districts very well. It's just kind of wonderful to see. And I give credit really actually to the teachers and the kids and how well the transitions have been made. It's really lovely. I'm so excited with the brand new campus. I can't wait for the football track. The softball fields are just beautiful, but they're being used. It's going to be even more beautiful and exciting. So I think we are doing the transition fairly well right now, and hopefully next year it'll go really well too. So, and that's really what I want to be a part of. Something that I could like to see improved, and actually I just kind of was thinking out of the box, and I would love to see more student involvement at our meetings. I think that'd be super cool. I've been told that Eveleth-Gilbert had a student representative. That's true. I think that would be amazing to implement again. Someone who could keep us informed on all the happenings in the schools and any concerns students have. Talk about dress-up days, homecoming, keep us informed. I just think we need to be more cohesive and more of not just us a team, but the whole district a team. So that's what I think.
Sean?
I likewise had a list of each. I think there's quite a few things we're doing well, and certainly a list of things we can work on. I think the biggest accomplishment or achievement I'd like to acknowledge is this process of coming together and moving forward. We're doing multiple things. We're moving towards an academy model, which is a new way of teaching and trying something new, which can be scary, it can be difficult, it's certainly a lot of work. And we're bringing two communities together and doing what we can to make sure that we move forward together. And I think that we're doing that well, and that a lot of people have put a lot of work into this, and it's important to recognize that. In terms of things that we can do better, I think that there's still a lot of disparity between the Eveleth and Virginia campuses, and that we need to very actively work towards resolving those, making sure that resources are as balanced as they can be, and that every student has an opportunity for an equal education regardless of where in the district they are. I'm also going to tag onto that. I think that transparency and trust, which ties into communication, is something we need to work on with the school district.
Lisa?
I think that the combining of the schools, the students have done really well. That's something that the students have done really well with the schools. And something that needs to be improved is, again, the communication throughout all of, whether it's Virginia to Eveleth, all the communication needs to open up between the departments and students and parents.
Holly?
Well, unfortunately, I think one thing our district is doing really well is constituents. I feel that very strongly. I feel our current policies and practices regarding public input during school board meetings are too restrictive and unwelcoming. Not only during my current 4-year term on the school board, but always. I have always supported and lobbied for the widest latitude for public participation, board meetings, while also, of course, keeping decorum. I believe that people should be able to address the school board on any topic, not just on agenda items, barring anything restrictive legislatively or personal information. I believe any board chair worth his or her salt running a meeting should be able to keep decorum. And because other governmental boards and councils allow more latitude for public input without problem, and I think we should too.
Matt?
I think we've done a pretty remarkable job, or our teachers, our staff have done a pretty remarkable job given everything that's been thrown at them over the last 2 years in particular, with combining, and then you throw COVID and all that in there. And I think we're really doing a good job serving the middle 80% of students on the spectrum. I think we could do more for those who, for whatever reasons, are facing other challenges are kind of on the lower 10%. And I also think we should be doing more for those who are in the 10% on the other end of the spectrum who are academically gifted. I do think that combination is going to help in that regard, in having larger class numbers so students won't have to choose between honors, calculus, and band like they had to in some cases this year. And I think our academic model should help both of those groups.
John?
All right. One thing we're doing well, I think, is right across the parking lot, that Academy-style high school. I was told last week by a high-ranking official that said that building will be cutting edge 20 years from now, and that people will travel all around the country to view it, and I believe him. I walk around that building, and I'm excited for the future of our students. I think that's going to provide them the best opportunity. I'm really, really excited about it, and I think that's one thing we did well, bringing these three communities together and making one Academy-style high school. One thing we could work better on, I believe, I think, is discipline. I hear of things that go on in high schools. I was in high school once, so I know there can be shenanigans, but I've heard things that go on in the Eveleth-Gilbert campus as well as the Virginia campus, and I want that new place across the parking lot to be taken care of with respect, and I hope that we can make it for a long, long time. So I think that's one thing we could work better on.
Okay. Mike?
So the one thing that has gone really well is I know that the transition, my son was Eveleth-Gilbert, he's now Rock Ridge. The teachers that he's had experience with have done an absolutely excellent job with him. I've got no complaints there. They have no issues. The teachers are very helpful, they're responsive. That's one thing that's been very fantastic here. On the same note, one thing we can do better, and this isn't something that necessarily the school can do better, it's something that parents can help to do better with, the school can help to do better with, the community can help to do better with, is getting kids motivated for education. My son's friends, when they're in hockey or if they're outside playing, I always hear the same thing from them. Oh, I hate school, I don't want to learn, I don't want to talk about it. And I know it's a pretty big mountain to climb to get kids excited for education, but education can be exciting. And I think that's one thing we can improve on, and I only say that from my experience talking with the kids that I've been around.
All right, next question. A school board member must never lose sight of the overall reason they exist, or the students. Keeping them in mind, tell us your concerns regarding student achievement or student programming, and how you would try to address your concerns. We're going to start with Nicole.
Okay, this is a question I didn't want to start with, but thank you. This was like the hardest question for me. I was like, hey. I guess I'm going to go back to life skills and how important that is. Well, I threw my dad under the bus. I'm going to throw my son under the bus. He was part of the National Honor Society. He has friends in this room, so he doesn't call his mom, so it's okay. He probably won't hear it, but he's a straight A student, National Honor Society, great kid. He literally didn't know how to address a letter after he graduated, and I didn't even realize that. I'm like, how did I miss that? And I just hope that we're not missing these skills that are needed and they're important. And we are caught up in fancy technology, which is beautiful and wonderful and purposeful, but we also really need kids to know that. Another area that is concerning to me when I think of achievement, and it's also dear to my heart because I felt I had mental health issues, depression, anxiety when I was a kid, and I know that that is a big concern of mine, that kids, there's so many stresses now, and with COVID and everything, it's just exploding our mental health. And I just want to make sure, and also, with cyber bullying and social media, it can be really, really tough. I just want to make sure that we have enough resources to help kids get through this pivotal time.
Achievement can mean a lot of things for different people. I think we're past the nonsense of the idea that everybody needs a 4-year college degree, which is frankly absurd. We've got a shortage in the trades. They're good paying jobs. And I think it's important to recognize a person's strengths. You know, we might have a kid who's really bad at math, but they might be awesome at welding. And let's support them in the welding, because that's probably where they're going to go. And in 20 years, the math isn't going to matter as much. Now, we need to make sure they've got basic functionality so everybody's, got a common base from. But I think it's important to focus on our strengths, because that's where our greatest successes are going to come from. And I want to do everything I can to make sure that programming is in place so that students don't cap out. That if there's more that they can do, there's another honors class that they could take, that class is there so that they have the opportunity to excel.
Lisa?
I would be concerned about the testing scores, especially after we know when schools were shut down, and we are seeing that across the nation. We're getting the nation's report card saying, with the schools, now private schools that were left open, they did not go down in their scores. So that's something that God help us if we have to ever go through this again. That would be something that I would pay attention to, because that has been shown to have affected kids. That being said, with learning different skills, interests change as you get older. So it would be nice to have the eyesight for our children, that they might like welding one day, but they might do something when they're, else when they're 30, or maybe they will be a math teacher. My middle daughter, she changed what she was going to be, 3 different times while she was in college. So interests change. So at this level, to equip them to be able to pivot to their interests.
Holly?
I share those concerns too, because I think it's been universal across the world that during the pandemic, students lost ground all over the board. Distance learning and social isolation and masking even have been detrimental to educational learning and the effects. But I think it's wise if all districts make efforts to assess where our students are now at this point, so we know how much more reteaching and relearning needs to take place. There's one statistical method. It's called value-added assessment. It's got many forms and it has many creators, but it's a method of measuring individual or group academic growth, or if it's stagnating, or if academic growth is declining over time. And I think it'd be advantageous for our district to put that as one of its priorities when we are considering our curriculum development and improvement efforts. And I hope that gets into our staff development and curriculum advisory and site-based team work. Thank you.
Matt?
I agree that the distance learning hurt us tremendously. That's why last year I did everything I possibly could to make sure we had the best possible chance to stay open all year in person, and we were lucky that we did. I think bridging students from the traditional elementary model through 6th grade to the academy in 9th grade is a challenge for us. And I know our administration is working on that, and also having options. Should a student choose a particular career path for them to change once they get into 9th grade, I think it's be pretty rare for students to, or not pretty rare, but a lot of students are going to think they go into something, they learn that's not for them. Wonderful if that happens in 10th or 11th grade as opposed to your junior year in college. I'm very fortunate in that all 3 of my children graduated with the same major they started. Well, that's making an assumption that Joe makes it his last semester, but so I think that is the exception, that they all finished what they started. And I do plan to continue to be very active in the curriculum development process.
John?
Okay, student programming within the district. I went this way with it. In the academy model or academy style high school, I think it's very important that we build their relationships with the businesses within the community, and we have a strong relationship with them so they can help us instruct our kids on what their employment needs are going to be. They can come upstream further and get our students in the workforce faster. I think that is a key element to the success of our academy high school.
Mike?
I think one big thing is continued personal education after you have, whether it's the end of high school, you go into the trades, at the end of college, you go off to whatever your program is, that you continue to have this, that we instill in our kids a passion for learning, whatever it is, whether you're into science, technology, math, whatever it is, that you find a passion, that you still continue to grow your mind, and that we instill in them how important it is to constantly improve yourself all the time in all things. Another big thing that I have a concern of is something I see in society that adults are failing at, and that is actually having a positive attitude about opposing views. People don't like to hear opposing views anymore. They get angry. Some people break up families over it. I mean, you see it everywhere you go. You see it on social media all the time. Maybe you have friends that aren't your friends anymore because you voted for the wrong person or whatever it is that happened. We need to try and teach our students the importance of the freedom of speech and how important it is to have robust discussions. Oftentimes, the importance of that is oftentimes the best solution for a situation lies in between the opposing views.
Right?
So there's two areas that looking at that, and one of the biggest problems is the residual effect that that COVID or the pandemic had on our schools. The drop off in tests and the educational gap being that, are they really at a 10th grade level, or are they still back in an 8th grade level? Our teachers and counselors and administrators tried to carry on as normal as possible, but Zoom is not the almighty tool that is going to, they said that was going to be. I think we need to install some things that maybe could help our students overcome that gap, and I'd like to see us maybe try to get a homeroom for the kids where we could check schedules and grades and things for the kids. Maybe tutoring for the kids that are behind in their grades. Also the extra counselors for those with self-help because of that problem. The other thing is, and I've heard this many times from a lot of the teachers, is the level of curriculum development for the new high school. Where's it at? You know, a lot of the teachers are working on it, and we don't know where it's going yet.
All right. Sometimes the needs of students and the amount of money a district has do not align, which means the school board has to make some tough decisions. As a board member, where would you look to make cuts, or how would you determine budgeting priorities? We'll start with Sean.
One, I would take the time to evaluate our staffing levels before making cuts to make sure that we've got staff in the places where we need them and that we don't leave ourselves shorthanded. Two, I think it's important to recognize we're not in this alone. While we are singularly focused on education and the development of our students here, we're in a community, surrounded by community, and we're in this together. And that where interests overlap, sometimes there's projects we can work on and there's money to be had when people come together. If you can get nonprofits or other organizations involved. Three, I think it's important to recognize as we're in this period of transition that things are going to be a little more awkward and not quite as smooth as we want them to be. But as we continue moving forward, we look for how can we progress to operational efficiency and get rid of the things that don't need to be there. For, and I think this is where I distinguish myself as a candidate, I think everyone who runs for public office at any level should be asked, what ideas do you have for funding that are not based in taxes or bonding? In plain talk, that's how are you going to pay for what you're going to do without taking my money? And I don't like paying taxes like anybody else. I've got a couple of ideas to that end. I think it's a great place to start a discussion and see what new things we can come up with.
Okay. Lisa?
For the having to make decisions on the budget, we've been spending quite a bit of money on the new school, and I think the school board has worked hand in hand with different leaders, I know, but my thoughts are the community leaders, mayors, city councils, businesses, police departments, to rebuild our communities to a place where people want to move in and be a part of and grow in our area. The budget priorities would be focused on ensuring the quality education and teachers and seeking grant and funding opportunities and creative ways to get revenue into our schools.
Polly?
Well, this question falls perfectly in line with comments I've made and questions I've asked at school board meetings. For instance, for the past 2 years, our district's operational fund balances have been short $2 million each year for the past 2 years. And I think the only logical question is to ask why. We know that employee salaries and benefits take up about 80% of any school district budget. And then there are some funds that are reserve funds. And they have to be set aside for specific purposes. The rest are unreserved, called general fund monies, and they can be used for any purpose. So with the unreserved general fund revenue, as much as possible, I think we need to use those dollars on things that directly impact students. But a board member's major legislative duty is financial management and fiscal responsibility, and that's why one of the reasons I support committees of the whole in all committees, finance, and I also support more school board member training in finance, school finance especially. Board members need to know, need to be given, and need to ask for more details of where funds are being spent so we can evaluate that spending. We set budgets and make the adjustments when needed. But I don't know how a board member can do this without knowing where the money is going.
Matt?
Well, there's two sides to any budget equation, revenues and costs. And rather than focus on the cost end, I'm 100% confident our revenues will increase as our enrollments bounce back, when our facilities open and we become, again, the district of choice in our area. Our new facilities are going to be much more efficient than our older facilities. This is going to save the district an awful lot of money from an operational standpoint. And if we have to cut costs, and cutting costs is never fun. I mean, it was very painful to go through that process last year, but we certainly need to continue to be as effective as we possibly can and prioritize the costs in the classroom. Those who are working directly with our students.
John?
Yeah, well, Paulie is correct. We've had a shortfall the last couple of years, and thankfully we've had some COVID money to help offset those costs and not have to cut as much as we did. I should say. We closed one or two buildings this year. We've got more closing next year, old inefficient buildings. I think those are going to provide a lot of cost savings to the district. Once we get into the academy high school, we're going to be together, look at staffing, look at programs that we can merge, and savings I think will come there also. And then attracting more students. I think that is going to be the key to our success and more revenue. And if we're doing it right, I think our enrollment should definitely rebound.
Mike?
I think something we can do, or an idea that comes from it, is getting everybody kind of involved in the situation. So as board members, we're not involved in the day-to-day activities that the teachers and the students experience. We don't see the things that every parent sees when they're there. If budget cuts come, I think we should be taking any kind of recommendations into consideration. The students can come and see if they have ideas where we could cut back on costs. Teachers have any ideas where we can cut back on costs. Parents have any ideas. We can take all that into consideration. In the end, you're going to have to scope and see where resources are not being used effectively if hard cuts have to be made. And that's how you have to make that choice. What's being used effectively and what isn't. And to me, from the budgets that I've seen, from the budget meetings that I get, there's not enough detail in there to see where money's even actually going.
Well, this is a topic that seems to be the most contentious and anxiety producing of any of the things that we really do, it seems like, as board members, from my experience. Historically, the boards have always cut low number activities, electives, and then finally educators. What we also have to understand is when we do that, we're probably going to lose some students because of it. So that's one of the things. We have to try to keep those programs, but we have to find the monies, and it always seems to come back on the back of the educators. And I would hope that we never have to do that. I've got a list of creative ideas that I wrote down, but until you're in that position, you don't need to do these programs. But right now, we have been in that position when we have to find out how are we going to pay for what we're doing. In regards to the budget priorities, what is least going to affect the students? That's just the way that I am. The reason we have a district, the school, educators, staff, and administrators, is because of the students. If we don't have the students, we're not going to have a district.
Okay. Nicole?
First, I apologize. I keep coughing and I'm trying to control it, so I'm very sorry about that. Budget cuts are not easy to talk about, and I really found that out this year. I literally had sleepless nights. It was terrible. I mean, they're not easy. I've been part of the budget, committee, and it's just been very eye-opening. I guess, we have a great finance director, and he gives us lots of advice too. But I know that there are areas for cuts, and that we do need to be more creative. I do also agree that I'm hoping once we're in more cost-efficient buildings altogether, that our operational costs will go down a lot. That's what we've been told, and that's what I hope, and really hoping that we will attract more students. I think that's kind of the biggest thing. Based on priority, keeping class size small is a priority for me. This is one of the reasons I moved my family back up here. I wanted that kind of learning environment for my kids. I really think it's important for classrooms to remain small. And other priorities are based on, graduating curriculum requirements, special education, and core classes.
We do not have time for any audience questions tonight. However, before we leave, we would like to give each candidate time for a final statement. We will begin with the candidates from District 1, and Polly will start with you.
I'd just like to add one thing, that I believe that good education has always included both strong academic training in union with experiential learning. But both of them, each of them, how did I put it? Each of them in balance with each other. Thank you.
These are our closing statements.
Yes.
Thanks. First, I want to thank Kathy for supporting me again in this pursuit. There's no question that serving in this capacity impacts your family life, and I think every one of us who's done that would agree with that. I believe my skill set in particular, interpersonal, analytical, and critical thinking skills, combined with 3 decades of public service and project development experience that uniquely qualify me as a board member. However, what I believe is most important are our relationships, both internal with our teachers, our AFSCME members, contract employees, administrators, coaches, advisors, as well as external relationships with developers, consultants, builders, and yes, local, state, and federal elected officials are very important. I don't think the value of those relationships can be overstated. We've accomplished a great deal. The stage was set long before I filed for election. Countless meetings with numerous community activists that developed a clearly articulated vision before I was elected to the board. We have acted on the vision, and I think we are already reaping those benefits, and we're on the precipice of reaping huge benefits. It certainly has not been easy. Some aspects of this have been more challenging than I ever imagined. In many ways, I'm a poster child for resisting change. Change is hard, but it's necessary to thrive. We're now fully consolidated. I worked diligently to ensure this decision was made by you, the electorate, not 13 members of 2 former districts, as many of my colleagues preferred. We've assured that each of the former districts will be represented on the school board until at least 2027. I think that's only right. We've reached fair new agreements with our respective bargaining units that will bring all employees on par. This is a personal issue for me is I watched my father walk the picket line in 1990 as a result of not being able to come to an agreement after the former Aurora White Lakes and Bowabic districts consolidated. Our extracurricular programs are now fully integrated and poised for even greater success. Congratulations to the cross-country teams, both boys and girls, for qualifying for the state tournament today. The Laurentian Elementary, just up the road, is open, by all accounts, to rave reviews. In a few short months, our new academy and facilities will be turned over to the district. It's very unfortunate, in my view, that primarily due to legal and permitting challenges, the scheduled opening of the academy was put back a year, and we aren't sitting in that building right now. This isn't too bad, but and this has all been accomplished in a very difficult environment, including completely unforeseen inflation. A great deal of challenges lie ahead. I humbly ask for you to be part of the solutions. However, these challenges are dwarfed by the opportunities for, in particular, the young people that we're entrusted to serve. Make no mistake about it, this election is about our future. Regardless of the outcome of the election, when I reflect what we have collectively accomplished and the small role that I may have played, I will be forever proud. Thank you very much, and please get out and vote.
John?
Well, that's a tough one to follow, I guess. I think what he thinks. No,
Very competent hands.
I want what's best for the kids. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm asking for your vote in a week and a half. I have kids in the district. I'm very proud of what we've accomplished the last 4 years. I want to finish the project strong. I want to finish and did what we said we're going to do with curriculum. I've proven to be a responsible board member, respectable, level-headed thinker. I think I've earned it. So get out and vote.
I guess in closing, I'd like to say, I mean, I would love to be a part of this whole opportunity, this journey that we have. When I first read about in the academies, when we were talking about the merger, it was something I was really excited for, because even while I was in school and wanted to graduate, I always wanted to see a transformation in the way the school system was, where you develop on kids' strengths. And I would actually be really excited to be a part of this project, because I think we would have so many more successful kids graduating from school with this program. We'll be able to keep kids engaged, motivated, and interested, and I would just love to be a part of that.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the candidates from District 2, starting with Murray.
Thank you. Again, I'd like to thank the kids, Ms. Glennon, for this forum. I hope that through my answers, you can hear I have a passion for education. That the students, staff, the educators, the administrators, and our communities of Rock Ridge mean a lot to me. Ever since we moved here, ever since I got on the board, it's been a process, but it means a great deal to me, and all the advances that we've made so far and what we're going to see really mean a lot. I'm committed to provide your children with the best education that we can give them. We're going to have to attend all the meetings, all the working sessions. We're going to have to be prepared to make the hard decisions. We have to do the research before we show up. I'm honest, I have no backing of any coalition or any particular group. I just want to be here. I'm sincere. Again, I want your children and my grandchildren to have the best education possible. School board position is not a right, it's a privilege. I think a privilege given by the voters, and we all recognize that, and I hope that you all get out to vote. Thank you very much.
Cole?
Well, I've been very honored to serve on the board this past months. I say it hasn't even been a year yet. I'm just learning my new position, and I would love the opportunity to continue. I'm just so excited for the Academy and all that it has to offer, and I want to be a part of that. I think I feel like I'm an asset to the board, and I bring a different perspective, and I ask thoughtful questions. I really try to do my best to have thought out, rational decisions. I will always continue my respectful decorum. I think that's so important. I am very approachable. I really try to respond to every email, every phone call. I try my best to help. That's just in my nature too. That's who I am. That's what I want to do. My only agenda is to continue the excellence that our schools have. And I'm just, again, I'd be honored if I could continue with that.
Huh?
We have a tremendous opportunity before us to be the kind of school district that people move to, and to bring opportunity to all of our students. It's going to be hard work, though. It's been a lot of hard work, and it's going to continue to be hard work. I am willing to do what I can to support that process, to support the people engaged in that process, students, parents, teachers, even administrators. I think it's important that we come together to focus on our kids. They're why we are here. When it ultimately comes down to it, vote for whoever you think is going to do the best job steering the ship that's going to bring our kids to the next phase of their life and make sure that they're prepared for it when they get there. I'm Sean Haney, and I ask for your vote November 8th. Thank you.
Lisa?
If elected, I would support students and in the education, make sure that they have something to take away from the school system when they go out and they find jobs. I also feel strongly about supporting parents in that that they are the sole caregivers of their children, and their voices are heard also. as far as the education part again, I believe traditional education is the way that I would like to see parallel with this new academy style, and that we wouldn't be forgetting about the basics. And that is a concern of mine. And that's about it.
All right. We hope that you heard some useful information tonight to help you make your decision on November 8th.
We'd like to thank our candidates for participating in our forum tonight and the audience for attending. We'd also like to thank the citizens of Rockridge communities for supporting our public education. And this concludes our school board candidate forum. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.